slides. I will post it on the group today. Today we'll be working on anxiety. So many of us wonder what anxiety is and how to manage it and what exactly causes anxiety, what are the symptoms. So we'll be discussing something of that aspect today. So anxiety begins with worry, right? So all of us get worried, yes or no? Right? All of us worry. Even I worry, right? You worry, I worry, everybody worries. So, but when does this worry become abnormal, or when does this worry become um, a phase where you feel you can't manage it anymore? That is the phase of anxiety. All right. So today we will be learning a little bit about anxiety, and then we will be working on how to manage anxiety. All right. So I will start with the presentation. Hmm. All right. So today we are going to take an axe to anxiety. Uh, All right. So, okay. So all of you are ready with your paper and pens today, because we're going to be doing some activities, some exercises to work on our level of anxiety. All right. So let's start with this. So what are the objectives of today's session? Every session will have certain objectives. So today's objective is going to be, we understand what anxiety means to you. All right. Because anxiety will be different for each person. The symptoms may be similar, but the reasons for anxiety may be different. Causes of anxiety, what are the chemical or technical causes of anxiety. We will also identify and list the physical sensations of anxiety. Again, this will be related to you. All right. It's not going to be generalized. It is going to be very specific today's session. We will be working on two different types of how to recognize two types of worry. Then we will be identifying what are the different types or examples of safety behaviors. We will come to that. I will explain what a safety behavior is later. Also, we will list down coping strategies, and we will identify one new strategy to try in our day-to-day activity. All right. So what is anxiety? Can anybody answer? What exactly does anxiety mean to you? So today what I'll do is I will try and ask people. Let's see. Abhishek, what does anxiety mean to you? Can you unmute and answer? Anyone would like to answer this question? Okay, there are some in chat. Unnecessary worries, too much of worries and stress. Right. Anxiety is connected to a lot of worry. Right. Uneasiness. Yes. Good. So that is a physical symptom of anxiety. So we're going to start with what anxiety is. 1 minute. Yes, Anita, you want to answer? Okay, fine. We'll proceed further. All right. So anxiety is what we feel when we are worried, when we are tense, or we are afraid, and this would connect specifically to our future. All right. So particularly when there is some kind of uncertainty about future, that's when anxiety sets in. It is a natural human response when we perceive that we are under threat. Okay. Please understand these words. It is a natural human response when we perceive that we are under threat. So it need not be always that you perceive. It could also be when you are in real threat. All right. So we will come to that later. It can be experienced through our thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. Similarly, what we discussed yesterday about depression, the same thing applies for anxiety as well, that it can be experienced through our thoughts, feelings, and physical symptoms. And it is something which every one of us experiences from time to time. So I'm sure there is not a single soul in this world who has never felt stressed out or never felt anxious in their life. So anxiety only becomes a problem when it occurs too frequently and interferes with our day-to-day functioning, our day-to-day relationships, our day-to-day living. So the exact cause of anxiety is not known. It could be a combination of multiple things. It could be some chemical changes in the brain or its functioning, some rewiring, wiring loose ho gaya hai, ya some chemical imbalance in the brain, some kind of stress from the environment. Okay, a family history, like we spoke of genetics, we also spoke of acquiring certain diseases from through our I would say family history. So family history is one of the reasons. There could be many traumatic life events such as an accident, a divorce, death, or sometimes panic just starts. Sometimes there is no reason also, right? I have had many cases where children have just come into the, I could not only children, even clients who just walk into my cabin, in the hospital, they come into the OPD cabin and they say that I don't know, but I'm feeling very anxious. I'm feeling very worried, you know. So that in such times, it is either worry about the future, or we have to identify the thoughts which are actually troubling. There will always be a reason for worry, but the reason is not identified or the trigger is not identified. There could be other medical conditions, including heart problems, diabetes, thyroid, multiple things similar to what it was yesterday. Drug, alcohol abuse, or again, non substance abuse today. Again, screen time, use of gadgets, that also leads to anxiety. So, there are different types of anxiety. So, first is generalized anxiety disorder. Now, the first name itself is ending with disorder. That means it's a chronic case. It is generalized anxiety. It is not any anxiety for anything specific. It's a general case of anxiety, but it is a severe case of anxiety. Post traumatic stress disorder. Normally, it's known as PTSD in the in the language of psychology, and it means that it is stress related to some trauma which has happened in the past. All right, it could be some kind of abuse, it could be an accident. Many times, we you see a lot of people in the armed forces suffering from PTSD because they live a lot of live through a lot of stressful situations, and those stressors trigger a lot of anxiety in them later on. All right. Panic disorder is achanak, somebody starts getting panic attacks, disorders for, you know there are physical symptoms of heartbeat, palpitations, heart racing, then stomach is feeling, butterflies in the stomach, then dizziness, headache. Sometimes there is a you know spell of fainting also. So it could be anything. So panic disorder could be an attack. A panic attack is what is called during COVID. I used to receive a lot of calls. People used to think that I'm a doctor, so they would call me, where I used to live in Mira Road earlier. So there people used to call me, and in the middle of the night sometimes we used to get calls, Prabhuji and myself. Okay, I think my husband is getting a heart attack, or I think I am getting a heart attack. And then I would try and explain to them that it could not be a heart attack, it could be a panic attack. But nevertheless, please go to the emergency and get yourself check. So sometimes a panic attack seems like a heart attack. People feel that there is something very terrible happening to them. Chest is paining, they feel tightness in the chest. So many of them rush to the hospital thinking that it is a heart attack. Obsessive compulsive disorder, which is also known as OCD. All right, this is one kind of anxiety where there are certain obsessions, of a person. If the person does not complete that particular activity, there's a lot of anxiety which takes place. And compulsive repetitive behavior or repetitive thought. I can share one case where one of my clients, he had this OCD problem, and he would take almost 6 to 7 hours in a day to wash his clothes. Okay, imagine a person spending 6 to 7 hours in a day washing his clothes. And why he would take that much time? Because it should be the same number of clothes. Okay, the clothes should be arranged in the similar manner in the washing machine. The timer should be at the same, the same time. Detergent should be the same amount. Okay, the whatever the comfort liquid, that should also be the same amount. So everything has to be specific, it has to be very particular. And by chance, if while removing the clothes from the washing machine and putting them for drying, if it touches any object or anything on the way, again the clothes will go back in the washing machine. So he had fear of contamination. So it led to an obsessive compulsive disorder. And this person, believe me, when I saw him for the first time, he was very untidy, he was not groomed at all. And I think people have lost me. Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, can you hear me? Okay, fine, great. Because my screen had frozen, so I was wondering. All right. So he was absolutely ungroomed. His hair was completely disheveled. His, face was not, clean. So he was going through a major OCD problem. Okay. So he had to be put on medications, and then he came for some sessions, but then I think it did not help because his was a very, very severe case of OCD. Then social anxiety disorder, this has become very, very common after COVID. After the pandemic, there are many people across the world who are suffering from social anxiety. They can't go out in, crowded places. They cannot travel in trains. All of a sudden, the things which they would love to do earlier, like go for parties or go for functions, festivals, visit relatives, all that has become a stress now. So that is known as social anxiety disorder. All right. So what is anxiety for you? Now I want all of you to take out your pens and paper today. And this is the first exercise that we're going to do today. Define what anxiety means to you. Can we do this activity? I'm going to give 2 to 3 minutes to all of you to do this activity. Or you can put it on chat also. What anxiety actually means to you. People are unable to unmute and answer. Is there anybody monitoring this? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji?
We can do it now, Mataji.
Are able to do it? Okay, okay, fine. Okay, great. Okay. So are we ready? Can anybody share? Would anybody like to share what anxiety means to them?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes.
For me, in future जो होने मतलब मैं टेंशन लेता हूँ अननेसेसरीली कि जो हुआ ही नहीं है कि और वैसा होगा ही नहीं, मतलब मुझे स्ट्रेस होता है कि अरे जैसे कि मेरा जॉब चला जाएगा या मेरा कि जैसे जैसे मैं कभी हेलमेट जैसे अननेसेसरी जो चीजें होने वाली नहीं है अभी तक, बट मैं उसके मतलब जो पॉजिटिवली थिंक होना चाहिए, बट वो नेगेटिव सोचता हूँ कि ऐसा होगा ही नहीं मेरे साथ, बुरा होगा मेरे साथ, डायरेक्टली ऐसा मन में विचार होता है.
Okay. So uncertain things about the future is
या
हाँ with okay fine. Anybody else? कोई और शेयर करना चाहेगा?
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम.
बोलिए बोलिए. दंडवत.
मतलब मतलब एंजाइटी मुझे तब होता है जैसे जैसे मतलब कुछ एक्सपेक्टेड थिंग्स होती है कि ये ऐसा हो जाएगा, बट व्हेन दे आर नॉट गेटिंग मेट, दैट टाइम द एंजाइटी प्रोड्यूसेस.
So expectations जब meet नहीं होते तभी anxiety feel होता है, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody else would like to share?
Sometimes we feel anxiety when we are going to catch a train and we are thinking that we might miss it.
Right.
Usually, this is the anxiety usually we feel.
In Mumbai, right? Very true.
Yes.
Very true. Yes, yes. Agreed. Yes. Anyone else would like to share what anxiety means?
लाइक माता जी, फॉर फ्यूचर अनसर्टेनिटीज बहुत ज्यादा वो करती है एंजाइटी कि बच्चे को लेके, जैसे कि वो गलत सोसाइटी में ना चले जाए स्कूल में या गलत टीनेजर में है तो थोड़ा डर रहता है आजकल.
राइट राइट. ठीक है. अमोक दर्शन प्रभु.
Yes, Mataji. It's like earlier when Prabhuji said, so in that going into the details of what probably might not happen, let us say suppose somebody said something and then we just kind of calculate the things that no, this will happen, he will say something wrong, then I will say something more wrong. I mean, I will talk to him, I'll reply revenge, and I mean it's like though the other person may not talk, I'm just contemplating over and again.
Overthinking, right?
Yes.
Overthinking. Yeah, overthinking also causes anxiety. Okay, thank you for sharing so much. Okay, so now let's define what anxiety means to many people. I mean, I'm just taken a few of the things. All right, here, the feeling that I want to run away and hide. Okay, these are feelings of I would say physical feelings. All right, I don't want to face this situation. I just want to run away and hide. A feeling of dread, like something bad will happen, like you just somebody shared, Rahul, I guess, कि कुछ होने वाला है, गलत होने वाला है future में. It's terribly debilitating, means it's a very weakening moment for me. I'm feeling very weak, I don't think I can pull this off. It makes me scared. I can't socialize, So I'm seeing this a lot in children, in adolescents, in teenagers, the inability to socialize as they would do before. There are a lot of children who have moved into withdrawal, social isolation. Even I think even old people have become socially isolated after COVID. Adults also, I can see quite a few cases where they feel that मैं नहीं जा सकता ये party में या function में. It really scares them to attend anything which has a very mass or a crowded place. So not going out, isolating myself, my legs feel like jelly. Sometimes ऐसा लगता है कि पैर पे. Please mute yourselves. Please put yourselves on mute. Okay, fine. My legs feel like jelly. Constant worrying, overthinking. My head does not switch off. इतने सारे plans चल रहे दिमाग में कि कौन सा plan पहले execute करूं समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Okay, expecting the worst case scenario no matter what. All right. So no matter how much ever try, it is not going to work out. Things are going to be always bad. And these kind of thoughts will lead to anxiety. All right. So this is one small exercise that we did. Let's move on now. So what are the physiological factors of anxiety? Can anybody? So it is a real or imagined threat. All right. Now, in the old times, what would happen? That Stone Age, we say, basically when initial years of the Homo sapien years, that we call that as, how would a person react, when he is exposed to a specific threat? सपोज मैं जंगल में से गुजर रही हूँ, आई लिव इन अ जंगल, ओके, और मैं जंगल से गुजर रही हूँ और मेरे सामने शेर आ जाता है, ऑल राइट, तो क्या करेंगे हम लोग? व्हाट इज आवर फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स इन सच अ सिचुएशन? आई विल रन अवे, राइट? यस और नो? That will be my response. If I'm a sensible person, I will run away from there. All right. I will not stand there to fight with the lion. But there are many situations in our life where we have to either fight against that situation, or we run away from that situation, or we freeze in that situation. So this fight, flight, and freeze response is to a real or an imagined threat. All right. So sometimes the threat could be real, sometimes the threat could be imagined, but the response is automatic always. It is क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ऑलरेडी प्री प्लान्ड इन आवर ब्रेन्स. हमारे दिमाग में ये प्लान करके रखा हुआ ऑलरेडी कि इस चीज के लिए ऐसे रिस्पॉन्ड करना है, इस चीज के लिए ऐसे रिस्पॉन्ड करना है. सो इट इज अ प्री प्लान्ड रिस्पॉन्स. It is dependent on the release of hormones called adrenaline and cortisol. Okay. And these hormones, what they do, they alert our bodies to perceived threat and react to it quickly. All right. If that reflex is not there, then the act of protecting ourselves would become very difficult. All right. So this particular act, this reaction is known as the fight, flight, or freeze response. So post-threat, what happens? Our bodies release other hormones and help our muscles relax. And this can sometimes cause our body to shake. Have you realized after a near-death experience, or an accident, you feel sometimes ke pura haath aur pair thar kaap rahe. After that entire episode is over, your legs start trembling, or some major, life event in your life, some loss of someone, very close person, and after that, you start feeling, after that particular event is over, that traumatic event is over, the phase is over, our muscles relax. So that is why for anxiety, what happens is that actually, when we get anxious, a lot of blood circulation to the brain, and in the process, even oxygen to the brain gets cut off, because certain parts of our body muscles start spasming. Okay, they tighten. Right? And that is one of the reasons whenever we give exercises for anxiety or any kind of treatment for anxiety, what we do is we ask the person to please breathe. So deep breathing is one of the most effective methods for working on your anxiety levels. Wherever you may be, you may be anywhere in the world, you can be walking on the road, you can just stand and take deep breaths. Just focus on your breathing and take deep breaths, and I'm sure that anxiety will disappear in 2 to 3 minutes. All right. This is a sure short remedy for anxiety. So let us identify your symptoms. Take a paper and pencil again. Chalo, all of you. What do you feel? What are the physical symptoms of anxiety that you feel? So let's write it down. We just discussed some things. So what could be the physical symptoms of anxiety? Somebody just shared uneasiness. You can write what is your symptom of anxiety. Let me get some answers on chats now. Chalo. Sweating, yes. Getting nervous, yes. Headache, no sleep, all right. Stomach ache, very good. Quick breathing, palpitations, yes. Drying of tongue, heartbeat becomes fast, yes. Back pain, mind shifting, shoulder pain, insomnia, unable to concentrate, anger, hot ears, wow, trembling, great. Can't think properly, respiratory rate increases, mind stops working, irritation. Very good, excellent. Okay. So these are all symptoms, physical symptoms of गुस्सा आता है. Yes, physical symptoms of anxiety. So let's now go down to this part. I shake, trembling. किसी ने लिखा था ना? My legs go like jelly. I feel like they are going to go from beneath me. ऐसे लग रहा है नीचे से कोई जमीन खींच के लेके जाएगा. Heart races, palpitation. It's very quick, heartbeat fastens. Stomach churns. ऐसे लग रहा है पेट में बहुत गुड़गुड़ हो रहा है, right? Sometimes it happens that my muscles and jaw becomes tense. I sweat. I feel myself going really hot and flushed. I get a dry mouth and my eyes feel really wide. I go dizzy and lightheaded. My breathing gets fast and butterflies in my tummy. So these are just some of the symptoms. Okay, these are not all the symptoms. I will share the physical symptoms on the group. I have a very nice diagram which I'm going to share with all of you, which will identify different parts of the body, how anxiety impacts different parts of the body, starting from your head to your toe. Okay, so I'll share the diagram with all of you. So we are now going to understand what worry means. All right. So anxiety is worrying about the worst case scenario. But now what is worry? So worry is, so here it says, overthinking magnifies our fears. Whenever we worry too much, we get into cycle of overthinking. And when we overthink, our fears get magnified. It's a vicious circle. It's very difficult to get out of this circle. But one thing we have to remember, that worrying is normal. Worrying is not abnormal. Okay. But when this worrying turns into overthinking, that's when it leads to anxiety. So it's not normal when it impacts your normal daily routine. So there are two types of worry that I'm going to be talking about. Real problem worries. Okay. Problems which are really existing. And the other one is hypothetical worries. Like some of you just shared. सोच रहा है कि if I don't complete this task, मेरा job चला जाएगा, मेरी train छूट जाएगी, I may not be able to complete this task. This expectation of mine will not be met with. So these are all hypothetical worries. All right. A real worry is you actually reach the station and the train has already left. That is real worry. Okay. You go to the office and you see that your laptop has crashed. So that is real worry. That's a real problem. Okay. So real problem worries are situations that are affecting you now. So it could be any situation which I just shared with you. Okay. It could be that you go to work and you realize that you left your mobile at home. Okay. Or you go to office and you realize that there is no electricity, or your laptop has crashed or the data has been formatted. It could be anything. Okay. So it is the situation that is currently affecting you. All right. But this situation is not easy or it is not always pleasant to solve. Some action can be taken to reduce it. Like suppose, for example, now you go to work, and you have forgotten your mobile. It happens with you many times. Multiple times it has happened. I go to work and suddenly I go there and realize that, my mobile ghar pe bhul gayi. What is the way for my family members to communicate with me? So then I go to the reception. I inform the receptionist. I tell her that today my family members will be calling you on, on the landline. Please transfer my calls there, Similarly, I call up home. I inform my family members that I've forgotten my mobile. So please call up on the landline to reach me. So if you don't get stressed out, if you don't get into the overthinking mode, you can take some action to reduce that particular worry at that point in time. All right. So responding to real problem worries with a problem solving attitude encourages us to maintain a degree of control through exploring the choices and options available to us. Okay, so here I have highlighted a certain part of the sentence: to maintain a degree of control. Why does the worry turn into overthinking and then into anxiety? Because there is loss of control there. Got it? But when you are able to maintain a degree of control through exploring choices and options available, then it will not move into the anxiety mode. It will remain in the worry mode. It will come to a solution mode also. All right. So remember this always. Whenever you are able to maintain a degree of control on your anxiety or control on your worry, not anxiety, on a problem, then you feel that you will be able to use the choices or explore the choices or whatever options that are available to you at that point in time. So the brain will start functioning in that particular manner. So for example, my financial situation has changed and I can't afford my bills. Okay, this is a real problem worry, correct? What is the option to reduce my worry? I could contact my bank and bill supplier to explain and negotiate payments. Suppose you have to pay your EMIs and suddenly there is a financial crunch. So what do you do? During COVID, I think many of us had this. People who were paying housing loans, they had a terrible crunch during, and banks were very, very considerate at that time. They were willing to wait for 6 months or 8 months to recover their payments. As long as you inform the people, you have to inform, okay, I have this financial crunch. Next 3 months, I will not be able to pay my EMI, but I will start paying from the fourth month onwards. So that is how you arrive at a conclusion to your particular problem. Okay. So these are called real problem worries, where you are able to maintain a degree of control. Okay. Now, what are hypothetical worries? Things that don't currently exist but might happen in future. Okay. So currently कुछ उसका अता पता है नहीं, पर फ्यूचर में हो सकता है, पॉसिबल है. It is possible that you may miss the train. It is possible that you may lose your job. It is possible that you may not reach your school on time. It is possible that you may not reach your interview place on time. It could happen. All right. But it is not existing currently. So this makes the particular worry hypothetical. Asking yourself lots of what if questions. I'm sure what many of you here have, many of us have this habit. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I'm not able to make it? What if I don't reach there on time? What if I don't cook for my family today? What if today it's raining very heavily outside? So there are many things that you can think. What if the water starts filling up and my husband gets stuck in traffic? What if my daughter is not able to make it home on time? So there are a lot of questions, what if questions, that I can ask myself and sit and worry about a lot of things which may or may not happen in the future, right? So what if I lost my job? What if I can't find another job? What if I end up homeless? What if my partner leaves me? What if I can't cope? There are people who ask, what if I don't get married? They come with all these questions. So hypothetical worries take a lot of emotional energy and keep the cogs of anxiety turning without much solution. So this hypothetical energy will sap you of your energy, emotional energy, और overthinking चालू ही रहेगा. What if this, what if that, what if में पूरी जिंदगी निकल जाएगी, right? And there will be no solution for any problem, because you will be stuck in that what if cycle. All right. So let's write down your worry experience today. Okay. How does this relate to your experience of worry? So whatever we just discussed just now, can you relate it to your experience of worry? So let's list down all our worry list today. Chalo. What are the list of worries that you have? Can we all list down our worries for the day? Or sorry, all our worries today? Let's do this activity. Kids' future, feel like crying, passing entrance exam. Yes. Some more. I want some more worries. Only 3 people have written. Hyperactive mind at job. Yes. खाने में नमक ज्यादा हो गया. Okay, fine. That's also worry. Assignment deadlines, about our routine, health, not being able to chant, worrying about kids. Kal kya hoga? Health, kids' future, upbringing, toxic people, worry about cracking entrance, finances, ambition, project pressure. Yes. Third World War. Oh, great. So these are all the worries. Can you now, are you getting my point right now, all of you? Can we see the list of worries that all of us have? Yes. Okay, these are all. Now, how many of these are real worries and how many are hypothetical worries? How many are real and how many are hypothetical? Have you read? I have read most of these worries. Some of them are real and mostly all are hypothetical. Yes, very true. So, yes, 90% to 10%. Very, very true. So, can you imagine the energy that is getting sapped away from us because we are actually utilizing our, reserve. Actually, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, reserve में जो fuel है, उसको हम unnecessary worry पे खर्च कर रहे हैं. No, we are expending emotional energy on unnecessary worry. All right, which ultimately leads to some kind of anxiety at a later stage. So moving on now. Take a highlighter and mark those that are real problems. We just did that, right? How many of them were real? Just 10% when we mark those things. Okay. What does this exercise reveal to you? That we spend a lot of time in our life wasting on hypothetical worries, right? This exercise revealed this to you, that how much time we spend on unnecessary hypothetical worries of our life. So what are the cogs or the wheels that keep anxiety turning? So anxiety is fueled by our thinking patterns. So does that mean that we will always have happy thoughts? Is it possible for all of us to have happy thoughts all the time? No, it's not, right? And it is not normal also. But you cannot always say that I always think positive, I always think happy. No, it's not possible. You are a human being. You will have negative thoughts. You will have, thoughts which are not good, thoughts which are really bad, thoughts which are ugly. So all these things are going to happen. So it does not mean that it is not normal. Okay, it is normal. And it is a natural response to fear. So this is the cycle of anxiety that I have kind of, okay. So it begins with an anxious thought. What if the elevator gets stuck while I'm inside? So it starts with what if. Again, this is a hypothetical worry, correct? So what if the elevator gets stuck when I'm inside? What is the symptoms of this? Feelings of anxiety, stomach ache, shakiness, sweating. So before getting into the lift only or experiencing visual imagery में आ चुका है सब कुछ. Audio, video, visual. The entire scene has been reproduced and the effect and the impact of the scene is also being felt. So what is the behavior that you do at this point in time? रहने दो भाई, मुझे lift नहीं लेना है. Let me take the stairs and go. Correct? So you walk all the 8 floors or 10 floors up and again land up sweating, shaking at the end of those 10 floors. But here what happens is that you get temporary relief from that anxiety. Correct? This is not a permanent cure to that particular anxious thought. So what is a permanent cure is what we will now look at. So this is the situation 4. exercise. So it's a situation which is the exercise 4. So now recently Dandiya Garba and all got over. So I'm giving this example. Something bad is going to happen if I go to play Garba tonight. Okay. So let's assume that today is today's one day before Dashera, and all of us have decided to go to play Garba. But one of us, or probably many of us, are thinking something bad is going to happen if I go to play Garba or Dandiya tonight. What is going to be the response to this particular situation? I want to hear from you all. What will you do in this situation? Avoid going? Yes. Okay. That is one option. What else? Only one? Will not go? Okay. Staying at home? It's the same. It's the same. Take someone? Yes. Okay. Great. Be careful. Praying and going? Okay. Safety measures? Take precautions? Yes. Now we are thinking. Now you are thinking. Good. Good. Try to find why I'm feeling like this. I'll go somewhere else. I'll get stuck in traffic. Is there any particular reason? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. So some of the safety behavior that I will take, okay, I'm talking about myself. Okay. I'd avoid people and places. I better stay at home. Nicely, I'll sit and watch some Netflix web series and happily, munch on some popcorn and sit at home. I can only go out at certain times. I won't go out at night. It's not safe. I have been brought up in such a society where it is not safe to go out at night. I'd go only out if someone I know, with someone I know and trust, so that I feel safe. So I'll take a bodyguard with me. Correct? I won't go outside at all. I'll isolate myself. So these are all known as, I'd start to make excuses to get out of the situation. So this is just one situation, okay? And this is known as some of the safety behaviors, okay? This safety behavior will reduce your anxiety temporarily. It will not give a permanent solution or relief from your anxiety. It will reduce the anxiety temporarily for that particular day. Again, next year, next Garba, same problem. Correct? Or anything else for that matter. A late night party or late night festival or function will lead to similar safety behaviors. Okay. So what do we do? So what are these safety behaviors? So safety behavior might help you feel better in the short term, but it does not improve anxiety in the long term. I'll come to that later. Why? Because you are not testing what you fear may not happen, or it is not as bad as you thought. Has anybody from this group answered the question in saying that, chalo, let me go and see what happens? No. Nobody want to try that because you're overthinking. And it is all hypothetical worry. So nobody wants to go out and try or face that fear. Okay, chalo, let me go and try that. Let me go and see what happens if I go and play Garba tonight. At the most, kya hoga? There will be some people over there drinking or whatever it could be anything for that matter. It may or it may not happen. You may actually enjoy yourself, and you may say that it's not as bad as I thought. So unless and until we test this fear, we will never come at a solution, a permanent solution to that particular anxiety. Anxiety is a response to fear, right? So unless and until you face that fear, you will never be able to overcome that particular anxiety problem. All right. So the belief remains along with anxiety. So next year again, Garba, the same belief. I can't go because there will be people there. There will be, hooligans there. There will be gundas there. People will be drinking. People will be dancing. They'll stamp on my feet. They will be at stampede. So it's not safe to go out. So I'm going to sit again at home. So I am avoiding the situation all the time. I am not facing that particular situation. So in not facing that situation, I am unable to overcome my anxious feeling about that particular event. All right. So this belief remains forever. So how do we, so did you get this? Did you get a hang of the entire thing? Did you understand this? Because this is a very important mechanism. Is it important? Sorry, is it clear, audience? Okay, thank you. So we move on to the next slide now. So we are going to be talking about some coping strategies today. Okay. Some of the coping strategies could be keeping physically active. Whenever you are facing a problem of anxiety, see, exercise helps in depression, in any emotional health problem. Exercise, physical activity helps. All right. So please push yourself to exercise every day. You have to avoid alcohol and recreational drugs because they add on to the anxiety, so they will not, what I would say is that your anxiety levels would increase with use of alcohol any kind of drugs. Quit smoking. Even coffee has a direct impact on your anxiety levels. Use stress management or relaxation techniques, which I will be sharing on the group. I'll send a YouTube link for all of you to utilize that. Then make sleep a priority. Again, here we see yesterday we had spoken about the sleep routine. Again, today I'm repeating, make sleep a priority. Eat healthy food. Very, very important. Again, diet is an important aspect. You need to be aware of about your disorder. Now we spoke about multiple variety of disorders today, anxiety disorders. So you need to identify where you fit in, or whether you fit in also. That's also there, because again there has to be a timeline for all this. Stick to your treatment plan. It's very, very important that you go with your psychiatrist or your psychologist, whatever he or she is telling you. So follow the plan strictly, because it will help you only. It's not going to make a difference to the psychiatrist whether you go or you don't go to him or her, but it will definitely make a difference to you if you go for your therapy and your medications regularly. You need to identify your triggers. This is again very, very important. That's why I made you write down those worries, So you need to identify your triggers. So for each one, the trigger may be different. For me, the trigger may be something else. For you, the trigger may be something else. For me, going out may be a trigger. For you, staying at home may be a trigger. So for each one of us, triggers for anxiety will be different. So we need to identify our triggers for anxiety. That's why we did multiple exercises today. Keeping a journal. Whenever you write down your triggers, write down the thoughts, write down the feelings, the physical sensations connected to those triggers, and maintain a journal so that you can go back to it whenever needed. Make friends, socialize. That will also help in reducing your anxiety. Let's move on to the treatment plan. So there is something known as cognitive behavior therapy, which is a short-term treatment designed to help patients identify inaccurate and negative thinking in situations that cause anxiety, like panic attacks. Okay. So CBT is a very, very research-driven and effective method to help reduce anxiety, negative thinking patterns, like what we did yesterday, challenging your negative thoughts. That is a part of CBT process. All right. Dialectical behavior theory, which is known therapy, which is known as DBT, it teaches patients how to develop skills for how to regulate their emotions, stress management, mindfulness, and interpersonal effectiveness. So the first one is focusing on the negative thought patterns, and this is focusing on regulating your emotions, managing your stress levels through mindfulness and interpersonal effectiveness. Third is prolonged exposure therapy, which is PE. The goal of this therapy is to help patients overcome overwhelming distress they experience when reminded of any past traumas. So PE is very, very effective for PTSD people who have any kind of traumas in the past. For them, prolonged exposure therapy is very useful. CBT again can be used here. CBT is actually very useful in all kinds of anxiety disorder or any kind of depression. So CBT is used worldwide for this kind of, any anxiety or depression related disorders. So acceptance and commitment therapy, which is known as ACT, is a type of CBT again that encourage patients to gain in positive behaviors even in the presence of negative thoughts and behavior. Goal is to improve daily functioning despite having the disorder. So CBT will focus on the current distress level. It will actually make you functional. Okay, there is something which is known as RECBT, which will actually work on your belief system. But those are all technical things. I'm not getting into that right now. Okay. So for the treatment is, of course, medications. We're talking about allopathic medications. Some doctors also, subscribe to alternatives like acupuncture, stress management activities, yoga. Neurostimulation is something of an emerging therapy now. They stimulate that part of the brain which actually causes anxiety. So there is something known as, this is an emerging therapeutic experience. It's not yet here in India, but definitely abroad this is being used. Not very often, but it's an emerging therapy. Now, how do we help a loved one when we see somebody suffering from anxiety? How do we help them? Again, listening to them, do not shame them, don't say just get over it, just chill. These are all very typical things for, for doing for your friends. But please, it's very shaming, because you actually don't know what this person is going through. When you tell them just get over it, you don't know what that person is actually going through. Don't provide any quick fixes as advice. You're not a therapist, please don't do that. Okay, you're not qualified to do this. It's very easy to give solutions. Ke baba ye kar, wo kar, wo kar, but this person, it's not going to help them. All right. Accept their stress levels. They know they can rely on you for support. So when you accept that, okay, you are facing a stress level and you can depend on me for support. And you can also ask them, how can I help you? In what way do you want me to help you? Encourage them to seek professional help. Be patient with them. And again, as I told you yesterday, caretaker syndrome, set your boundaries very clearly. If you realize after multiple efforts, multiple, times of telling them they are not working on themselves or not seeking help, you have to set your boundaries very clearly, because in the process, you will get impacted. So some statistics by WHO, 18% adults in the world suffer from anxiety disorder and more are underreported. Very common, 15% children suffer from anxiety. Social phobia and specific phobias are most common. Okay. So fear is very, very common nowadays, especially the social anxiety part. Anxiety disorder is becoming more prevalent in adolescents and children post COVID. So this is a current statistics from WHO, that is the World Health Organization. So two important guidelines that we need to follow, that these are the duration of symptoms and level of impairment. But that is duration of symptom number one and level of impairment is number two. So anxiety is a normal reaction to stressful situations, and even high levels of anxiety can be healthy and beneficial at times. It actually pushes you to do something, pushes you to look for a solution, pushes you to act. Okay. Disorders are only present when anxiety symptoms last for several weeks to months. We had spoken about this yesterday also, and significantly interfere with everyday function or cause long lasting distress. So please remember this, that it is anxiety or it is a disorder when the symptoms last for either weeks or months and they interfere or make you dysfunctional. Remember this, it's very, very important. Only a mental health professional can diagnose an anxiety disorder, as many disorders have overlapping features. Please remember this, that person could be suffering from depression and anxiety. So don't just say that you have only anxiety, because you are not qualified to do that. And because many disorders overlap. Sometimes OCD goes with anxiety and depression. Sometimes depression goes with anxiety, or anxiety goes with depression. So please don't get into the habit of diagnosing any disorders. Leave it to the mental health professionals. Because many comorbidities exist. So summarizing the whole thing, anxiety disorders affect people from all walks of life. It is becoming more and more prevalent. We can't pinpoint a single reason why we see an increased incident of anxiety issues. Probably the frustration tolerance levels have gone down, resilience has gone down, COVID has made people more mentally and emotionally weak. The family bonds are not as much as they used to be. I mean, I'm just giving some of the reasons which I feel could be a trigger for anxiety. Some blame social media while others claim that nowadays we lead more stressful lives. Definitely, yes. A number of effective treatment options can help you deal with anxiety. So, if you feel your worries are getting out of control or your anxiety affects your everyday activities, it is best to seek professional help. So, thank you very much, Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, we can take them now.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, actually, as you told that for PTSD, it was prolonged exposure therapy. And we also had sessions like, was it CBT or like?
It was CBT.
Is there something difference between them?
No, CBT and prolonged exposure therapy is you're exposing yourself to that particular fear. You're mentally preparing yourself to expose yourself to that particular, fear, to overcome it. That is called prolonged exposure therapy. All right. And CBT is working on the particular thoughts, challenging them. So what we did was CBT at that point in time.
Okay.
CBT helps in all anxiety disorders. In each and every disorder, CBT helps.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay, 1 minute. I'm getting some on chat. Would a person? Yeah, 1 second. Na? Yes, Mataji. I'll just read this question. Mataji would like to know how to get a person out from habit of tobacco. My friend has tried many. It's related to addiction. So you'll have to probably look at somebody who's a de-addiction expert. All right. And work with that person. I'm suffering from depression since last 10 years. Continuous allopathic medication. Good for 6 months, 7 months, balance 5 months are bad. Please guide me. Okay. Can you please contact me personally? Mr. Namit Prabhu, can you please contact me? Acha, please comment more on helping loved ones. All right. What would you like to know? Can you be more specific about helping loved ones? Hare Krishna. Acha, the boundaries part. Okay. Okay. I am just sending you my contact numbers. This is my WhatsApp number. And this is my email ID. So you can contact me either on my WhatsApp number or yeah. So can anxiety pass on? Yes, it is also genetic. Definitely genetics has an important role to play in this. There was a Mataji who was asking question.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, in a second last or the last slide, you mentioned that anxiety can be good for health also, like
Yes.
some level. How is that possible?
Because it push, see Mataji, it is a reaction to fear, right? It is a reaction to threat, right?
Okay. Okay.
So when it is a reaction to a particular fear, it pushes you to do something proactive. Okay,
Yeah.
it pushes you to do something which otherwise you may not do. Depression doesn't help you that way.
Right.
Depression
Right.
makes you feel low, but
Yeah.
anxiety actually will push you to do something. कि नहीं मुझे कुछ करना है, मुझे कुछ करना है, you know. So you will
हाँ.
you may not do the right thing, but at least it will push you to do something.
Something. Right. Right.
All right, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Any other question?
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, I think I'm leaving early today. I'm very happy. Questions on chat? Okay. I have fear of losing my answer. How can we train kids to understand about anxiety and to face situations? See, for kids now, we can't talk about anxiety. We have to talk to them about worry. All right. So don't use the word anxiety with kids. Use the word worry so that it does not seem very overwhelming to them. So when you say worry, it is a small word, you know, for them to, you know, and it is easier for them to deal with smaller words and words which are not so, you know, heavily weighed. So try to explain and to face situations. What kind of situations are we talking about? Stressful situations. See, kids learn a lot through their parents. Okay. So if we as parents have the resilience and we build that kind of a family atmosphere at home where we don't think too much, where we, you know, don't overreact to certain situations, then it will automatically get passed on to our children. I have a fear of losing my ancestors' property due to some reason. Leads to overthinking, anxiety. How to control it? You cannot control it. You can manage it. All right. So you have to write down. We did this thought challenging activity yesterday. I'm going to put it up on the group. The same particular activity can be used here also. All right. Can trauma and anxiety cause memory loss? Sometimes, yes, it has an impact on memory because those are one of few questions which we ask even when we're taking the mental status examination. We take a history. Okay. One can't get rid of negative thoughts, but one can actually manage it. All right. You have to learn to manage the thoughts. Like I said, thoughts are very automatic. It can't get rid of thoughts, but we can definitely channelize the thoughts in a positive way. Mataji, is procrastination also a part of anxiety? Yes, because you don't want to do a particular activity which causes you anxiety, then it is anxiety. But if you're procrastinating out of laziness, then it is not a part of anxiety. It is a part of your character, your personality. How to overcome memory loss in that case? In case of trauma and anxiety, you have to work on yourself, Prabhuji. It will take some time. You will have to take some therapy, probably depending on what that trauma is. Okay, you can probably contact me personally. We can discuss this at a personal level. Can you please explain how anxiety affects our decision making process? And can you explain how to deal with if we are over analyzing? Yes, definitely. Now, I showed you in that one slide that when it is hypothetical, you know, the anxiety or when the worry is hypothetical, then and we don't have a degree of control, right? We start overthinking automatically. So when it is hypothetical, the overthinking increases and it has an impact on our decision making process. So can you explain how to deal with over analyzing? You have to understand the fine line when you reach worry. You know, worry के बाद में आता है overthinking, उसके बाद आता है anxiety. All right, it's a graph which goes up. All right, so when we are worrying, we need to understand the difference between abnormal and normal. When the worry becomes too much, then you have to understand that I have to put a stop to this and come back. You know, that bargaining thing which we discussed yesterday, what will happen if I worry too much? You need to understand that process. All right. And you have to also identify whether the worry is real or again hypothetical. If it is something which is hypothetical, then there's no point in worrying about it, right? So we have to understand the difference between which is the real worry and which is not a real worry, real problem. Teenage daughter doesn't like to make new friends. How to solve this problem? Okay, this could not be related to anxiety. It is something else. Please contact me personally for this, because this
भैया
could
इसमें
be
पानी में बहुत
some
ठंडा
other
पानी है,
problem
इसको निकाल के
altogether.
नॉर्मल पानी भरना थोड़ा सा
Doing
गला
something
बैक्टीरिया
for
लेके।
others, even if we don't like something. I didn't understand this question. Where are you available in Mumbai? I'm available at Bhaktivedanta Hospital. I'm available in Sushruth Hospital in Chembur. Then also personally I'm available. So there are two places that I'm available. What's the difference between anxiety and depression? Yesterday we had 1 hour session on depression. Depression actually makes you feel low, and anxiety can actually make you feel sometimes anxious, stressful, So there is a difference between anxiety and depression, but they're also interconnected. Although the symptoms are different, okay? Depression will not make you feel, not make your stomach uh, feel, what do you say, uneasiness in the stomach, or will not cause. There are certain symptoms which will not be similar. Some of them are similar between anxiety and depression, but most of the things, the chemical reaction or the brain change, brain react, sorry, the changes that take place in the brain will be different for anxiety as compared to that of depression. Okay, so anxiety is one when we start, feeling palpitations in the heart, when there is a lot of overthinking. Okay, anxiety may not necessarily because of negative thinking, but depression is mostly because of negative thinking, and depression is also connected a lot with our moods. Anxiety is not connected to your mood. Okay. Anything else? Any other question? I'm constantly feeling irritated and disturbed even by small trivial thing, and is constantly happening. Am I a bad person or I need professional help? So see, constantly getting disturbed, it depends. Now in a week, are you doing what constantly means? Is it happening every day? Is it affecting or it is impacting your day-to-day activities? You have to understand whether it is impacting your day-to-day activities. If it is impacting your day-to-day activities, then it could be something, there could be something disturbing you, but it does not make you a bad person. Please don't label yourself. Okay, and deciding whether or not you need professional help is something which you have to take a decision, because you have to understand whether, as I just told you, whether it is having an effect on your day-to-day activities. If it is making you dysfunctional, then definitely you need to seek help. Constant mood changes. Can spiritual anxiety also be bad? Can you please be specific about this? What does spiritual anxiety mean to you? Is anger a symptom of depression? Yes, it could be, definitely. Constant mood changes. Okay. I think you need help, Prabhuji. You need to seek professional help. Better to rule out any kind of, problems. Nitai Mataji, what is your aspiring to do services? No, it is, see, that's why I said some anxiety is always good. Some worry, some anxiety is good always, anxiety, we always say, na, anxiety in the service of the Lord is good. But if it is affecting those services, then you need to do something about it. All right. Ma'am, is over planning a sign of anxiety? Yes, because you want to avoid something, right? You want to avoid something bad happening. That's why you are over planning. This word over planning itself indicates some kind of anxiety. Planning is normal, but over planning is not normal. Can thyroid trigger anger, irritation, frustration? Yes, definitely, because it's a hormonal problem. So it can trigger depression and anxiety. We had discussed about it. In fact, in today's slide also I had mentioned that one of the causes for anxiety and depression could be, thyroid. Yes, I have mentioned my numbers earlier in the chat. For everyone, my number is 9833 744 077. This is my WhatsApp number. Is anxiety due to PTSD curable? It is not curable, it is treatable. I mentioned yesterday also. I have also put up my card on the group. So if you need to contact me, my contact details are there in the group also. In today's group. So if there are there any more questions? Can we wind up for the day? So thank you very much, all of you. Hare Krishna. It was nice talking to all of you. See you tomorrow for our last session. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.